Welcome you and Happy New Year to those of you who I haven't seen yet this year. I want to call this meeting to order. It is now 6:31 and we are officially starting our AGM meeting. I'm the president of the chapter, Barb Rosenschreiber, and I'm going to be hosting the AGM meeting with Jalin Anderson, who is Madam Secretary, and Itopa Sule, who's our producer, and Shahab is going to pipe in here and there to keep the connection and the vibes going. So it's our responsibility as a chapter to run the AGM meetings according to the governance requirements. And that's going to make it a little bit more formal than you're used to. And we'll throw in a little bit of fun here and there. I'm going to ask Jalin to introduce the requirements for establishing quorum. So Madam Secretary, off you go.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Hello, members, and lovely to see you on Zoom. Quorum is the minimum number of members that are required by law to be present for a meeting of this chapter of the ICF Toronto, either in person or by proxy. We have 904 members of ICF Toronto now, and we require a 10% quorum. The bylaws that we have suggest in Article 5, Section G, for quorum, that at a members meeting, the annual general meeting, AGM, or any other special meeting of the members, a quorum shall consist of no less than 10% of ICF Toronto chapter members in good standing. All actions taken by said members shall be implemented by the board of directors. And this was our fourth amendment to the bylaws. So I am happy to confirm that we had 104 votes by proxy.
Woohoo!
More than 57 members and counting who are joining. So I can confirm we have quorum. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody who so diligently did your proxy voting in advance. We truly appreciate that. So as a matter of due process, please note that the AGM agenda was circulated 40 days in advance of this meeting, along with the minutes of the 2019 AGM, as well as the financial statements and the board slate. The following motions are for members only to vote on. So on the next slide, you'll see what that looks like. So ICF Toronto chapter members in good standing can vote on chapter business and run for chapter leadership positions. And take a look at that number of our global community. We have 42,741 global members, 904 in our chapter. We've got a little ways to go to match that, but we're doing well. So I'm going to read our first and second motions while our secretary and producer load our polling feature. So please complete the poll as it pops up on the chat. And if you've already voted ahead of this meeting, you do not need to vote again. So our first motion is to approve the agenda as circulated for the ICF Toronto Annual General Meeting on January 27th. And you saw the agenda before. May I have a seconder?
I'll second that, Barb.
Thanks, Jane. All in favor? Motion is carried.
Thank you. And I can add, Madam President, that we had 104 yeses, 0 noes, and 1 abstention from the proxy vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And Utopa is going to bring up the minutes for today. And these are the minutes. So to approve the Toronto AGM minutes as circulated, may I have a seconder?
I will second it.
Thanks, Alicia. All in favor? And motion carried.
Thank you. And Madam President, I can confirm that there were 98 yeses, 0 noes, and 7 abstentions for the minutes, which normally means that there were people that weren't members at the time. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And so moving on to the next agenda item, President's Update. I'm going to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this nation home. Please join me in a moment of reflection to acknowledge the harms and the mistakes of the past and to consider how we are and can each in our own way try to move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Amidst this pandemic we've been facing, we are holding and creating space for a brand new year at ICF Toronto with refreshed new branding that you see on the screen and new ideas that we're going to be talking about shortly. So as a way to connect with you, just to warm things up for Shahab, we're going to open this meeting with a question that's in the chat box, and please respond in the chat. What does being part of the ICF Toronto chapter community mean to you? So get those fingers working. And here come the responses.
Patricia saying ideation, sense of community. Alicia says connection. Oh, the chat roll is moving so fast. Learning, community of practice, connection, diversity and inclusion, local community, connection. I love that. Community, connection, professional development, learning, networking, continued growth, commitment. Thanks everybody for chiming in and sharing.
Kirk, love what you're saying, being connected to an amazing network of people. Woohoo!
Fun, ongoing learning, being new to Toronto. Welcome to Toronto. It gives me a chance to meet new peers and make community connections, like-minded professionals, inspiring, support, professional development and network.
Okay, I'm going to encourage everybody to continue to type in the chat, but I'm going to move forward in the interest of time. So yeah, please listen to or take a look at what people are typing in. So just a reminder that in talking about community, we are part of a larger community that has a global vision of empowering the world through coaching, a new vision that has been communicated that we can embody because with the virtual programming that we now have, we're such a larger community that we can have more and more impact. And our ICF Toronto vision, creating a thriving community that shapes marketplace awareness of professional coaching and ICF credentialed coaches. And you know, this vision has tested our resilience while also boosting our creativity throughout 2020. Your board and fellow members have made incredible efforts to pull together to honor the vision during the pandemic. And you know, when we look at our core purpose as a board, it's to serve you as our members, to keep your skills current through continuous learning, things that you've said in the chat, helping you grow your network, increase awareness in the community to advance the coaching profession. And we lived our values of transformation and collaboration throughout this challenging year, and we are currently deepening our commitment to inclusion. More about that later. It's the energy and the personalities of our board and our community members that bring fun into what we do. And sometimes it's been a little hard to integrate fun, but when I see your faces and you meet each other, there is fun that just happens spontaneously. So let's take a look at some of the successes that we can celebrate from this year. The main one that comes to mind is the huge transformation that we did, taking an in-person conference to a virtual conference with 200 participants, 6 corporate sponsors, 17 speakers, exceptional average rating from 4.4 out of 5, and a conference contribution of $26,000 to our revenue for this year. In regards to the volunteer drive, we needed at least 17 volunteers to deliver on our initiatives in 2020. And so many of you were generous with your time, giving back to the chapter. And we very much exceeded our 17 volunteers. The quarterly programming, you know, we now have an opportunity to give you the chance to pre-book your calendars in advance, thanks to the work that Shahab and Rosemary have been doing in collaborating on the meetings and making sure to schedule them and communicate them to you. That's through our marketing and communications team. So there's been a lot of thought given to speakers and topics based on what you've been telling us. And, you know, as you're going to here tonight, a focus on business growth strategies. And in addition to the meetings, Alicia has been doing some incredible work around making sure that we have Prism and acknowledging the work that coaches do in organizations throughout the year, not just a one-time event. And an example of that is the work that she has done in setting up an advisory team and having webinars to talk about the successes of coaches who have been winners of the Prism Award, to give you that information. Member engagement. So Bonnie has done some amazing work with her volunteer team. You're going to see them later, to expand the committee. Well, she has expanded the committee of volunteers and is bringing in the voices of our members through member chats. Shahab and all of our board members have been working on a website refresh so that you're seeing information that is current. And we're putting news up there in different ways so that it attracts your attention. One of the things that we've heard, you know, in addition to website refresh, is how to connect with you. And you know, we know that email is really the first way you prefer to receive information. Diversity dialogues. We started that earlier in the year, and we have a committee that's going to be taking information from what they know and what they're going to learn from you to build a recommended diversity strategy. And one of the key successes in 2020 is the growth of our membership, which you'll see on the next slide. As of yesterday, we have 924 global members selecting Toronto as their chapter. And ICF Toronto is currently the 6th largest chapter in the world. The first 6, the UK having 2,000 members, but hey, that's a country, not a city. Metro DC having 15,000, France 11,000, New York City 971, and Italy 940, and we are right there at 924. The growth is because of, you know, part of it is because of our new membership structure, broadening our scope so that global members who select Toronto as their chapter of choice is our definition of a chapter member. The 924 also includes 211 chapter members who paid global and also paid their activity fee to participate in chapter programs and services. Reasons for growth: ICF global engagement overall has increased. You know, some of it may be because of the options that they put in for installed fee payments that makes it easier for individuals to become members. Also, our reputation as a chapter is growing because of our increased global presence and the recognition that our chapter has had through community awards and chapter awards. More people are knowing and hearing about us. As I reach out to some of my colleagues in other chapters, they are excited to learn more about what's happening in Toronto. Our virtual programming has pulled new members from broader geographic base who are learning about and liking what we have to offer. Let's take a look now at our board strategic outcomes. So we are putting together a 3-year plan, starting with the strategic initiatives that we have. One of the outcomes for the first is a strong community of loyal members and strategic partners. And, in looking at the chat, that's what you are looking for as well. One of the things that we're going to be bringing in is more of a focus on end-to-end membership experience, from recruitment and how we bring people in to the continued engagement that Bonnie and her committee have been working on, and having ongoing conversations so that we understand what it is that you want and how we can meet those needs. Extending professional development opportunities through increased mastery, so continuing to provide excellence in programming, but also deepening the support that you get from each other, similar to what was done in the conference where we had our vision cafes, where there's more intimate ways to interact. And in the third, enhancing awareness and understanding. It's about our chapter and credentialed coaches being recognized as the gold standard in the marketplace. We'll be working on a framework for corporate partnership infrastructure programs so that there is stronger collaboration and ties with our business community. And expanding engagement of ICF volunteers. We certainly know, as a result of everything that we had on our plate this year, that we could not have done it with your contribution and your graciousness and passion to volunteer for a number of different programs. And so continuing to do that and to have more of a robust orientation program for volunteers and consistency amongst the volunteers, what we offer back to you and how we acknowledge and thank you for everything that you do. And expanding the engagement of our ICF, on the next one, thriving chapter. All of these come together to create a thriving chapter that builds sustainment. And some of the key things that we're going to be focusing on is technology and process improvements to make sure that there is consistency in what we do, making it easier for you to connect to our website and to get information from us. Another is better use of analytics for decision making, and also better data and analysis of information to provide you with more information about our chapter and who the people in your community are. So on the next slide, growing virtual community. All of these things are part of what we will be working towards and deepening. And so moving to the onto the next agenda item, which is our financial reporting. And the agenda for the financial report is on the next slide that shows we'll do a quick review of 2019 and 20 financial statements. We'll do an approval of the auditor's review, and then appoint the auditors for 2020-21, and then have an update on the fiscal year. So if you'll notice in the next slide, we are doing a comparison of 2019 to 2020, reporting on the financial performance of the chapter for a period that ended almost 11 months ago. So that's a lot of change since then. Financial objectives of the chapter that we had for the year were, as a not-for-profit organization, our objective is sustainability and growth. And we generate profit to fund activities of the chapter for the benefit of you, our members. And our objectives were to increase the engagement with you, with our membership, and to maintain an operating reserve. Global engagement has increased significant, as you can see. And while we had higher revenues, we also had higher operating expenses compared to 2019. And part of that is the transition to virtual meetings and hosting virtual conferences that do require more admin support, which is one of the areas that you can see has increased expenses. We want to congratulate everyone working on the conference and thank all of you who participated for making it a great success, both engagement-wise and financially, as I mentioned earlier. And while expenses in 2020 exceeded revenues earned by $10,399, the next slide is going to show you the outcome of the assets. So our net assets of $63,452 while we are keeping close tabs, we have been keeping close tabs on our balance sheet throughout the year. And Vasilina, as our treasurer, is so diligent at reporting back to us in plain language and understanding of our numbers. We're bringing the value, we get the value through our programs and creating opportunities for the community connection. That's really what we need the most. And we're really happy that our investment in maintaining the engagement within our community and investing hugely in the efforts into online conference paid off. Bottom line is 2020 financial year did not have any unusual transactions, revenues, or expenses, and did not have any material changes to the business model. So there are no changes to the systems, processes, or policies and procedures. And so just the next slide will show you quickly that because of our change in membership model, and therefore our business model from member fee to activity fee, our decision to support you during the tough times, the results that we see in revenues are that we have $130,000 with expenses of $85,000, giving us a net income of $45,000, which I think we can celebrate and cheer given the challenging year that we have had. So moving to the next slide, the statement from our auditors. To close the financial reporting of this part of the meeting, I'm going to read our MNP statement. From our auditors, the procedures performed in a review are substantially less in extent than and vary in nature from those performed in an audit. Based on our review, nothing has come to our attention that causes us to believe that these financial statements do not present fairly in all material respects the financial position of International Coach Federation Toronto Chapter as at February 28, 2019, and the results of its operations and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. So the motion will be coming up in 1 second. And so I move the motion to accept 2019 and 2020 financial statements as reviewed by MNP LLP. May I have a seconder, please? Anybody?
I will second. It's Jan.
Thanks, Jalen.
Thank you very much. And I'll read off also the proxy votes were 96 yes, 0 no, 9 abstentions. And we have anybody who has not yet voted, if you would do so in the link that Atopa has put at the very beginning of the meeting. You can still click in there and vote. But we, based on the proxies, motion is accepted.
Thank you. Motion accepted and motion is carried.
Thank you.
So motion 4 on the next slide, to reappoint MNP LLP Chartered Accountants as the auditing firm to review our upcoming 2020-21 financial statements. May I have a seconder, please?
And her to be's.
And thank you.
Thanks, Barb. And we had 100 yeses, 0 no's, and 5 abstentions for this particular motion.
Right, so our motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
And in the next slide, a special thank you to our chapter administration, to our virtual option team, Kim and Arlene, Lori and Marion. We could not have had all of the programs and CCEUs and information delivered to you without their support. They are a real asset to our chapter. And now we're moving on to the next item in our agenda, the election of the Board of Directors. So one of the key outcomes of this meeting is voting on the slate of nominations for a board for 2021 and 2022. And this is about continuing our legacy of bringing in fresh perspectives, ideas, and energy to the board while remembering that we are so grateful for the contributions of our past board members who continue to build on our original foundation. And so just a quick look at all of the board members who exist today. And we're going to turn the words into images as we take a look at how we're moving things forward. So in the next slide, you're going to see the 6 board members who will be stepping off of the board, but certainly not leaving the chapter. And I want my heart goes out to all of you and thanks you for everything that you have done for us during your time of service. So to Amrita Garg, Bonnie Grogan, Carmelo Milamachi, Marina Yarkova, Mina Kayla Gambier, and Vasilina Demirovich, you have made a huge difference to our chapter over the years, and especially over the last year. It's been a tough year, and you have all pulled through. I just want to especially acknowledge Mina for the 7 years that she has been on the board. She started our community outreach program with ICW and Coach Connect, and it has blossomed into something that our members know well and that we have received global awards for. So thank you, special thanks to Mina. And the next slide, the board slate. Those of you who are up for election, I'm so pleased to welcome Hossam Bakir, Robin Mahadeva, Itopa Malik Sule, Jenny Barkin, and Gabby Cometto, who are up for election. And now the next slide. So just for re-election that we are voting today is Jane Graydon, Rosemary Fernandez, and Alicia Saint. And I just wanted also to show you who our midterm directors are to complete the board slate. We aren't voting on these today, but in the next slide, you'll see myself, Bashir Shahab Anari, and Jalan Anderson. So these are the images of the people, the emotions and the spirit can be seen whenever you see them on the screen or even in person. So the board nomination process, a quick look at how we made that happen this year. A special thank you to Nance McLeod, Glennie Mercer, and Anne Hurtubise for being on the nominating committee. These were the 6 steps that we followed and the timeline, and today we are doing the AGM election. So our last slide as part of this process, looking at our board slate for up for election, Hossam, Robin, and Itopa. For re-election, Jane, Rosemary, and Alicia. And you have seen the midterm directors. So the motion that I'm putting forward is to accept the 2021-23 board slate as proposed to the chapter in December 2020 by the nominating committee.
Thank you. May we have a seconder?
I will second it. It's Marina Irohova.
Thanks, Marina. So the motion is carried. And before we close, I want to go to the next 2 slides to share with you all of your colleagues who have contributed to our different programs. In membership engagement, Manny and Laura, thank you so much for working with Bonnie on making a difference to our member engagement programs. Community outreach, we have Basma, Fabrizio, Gabby, Jenny, Joy, Michael. And in Coach Connect, the number of volunteers who are working and have been working with Up With Women, there will be more organizations to partner with through Coach Connect in the months to come. Marketing and communications, Amy, professional meetings, Itopa, and our EDI committee that is incredibly large and incredibly robust with phenomenal thought leaders in this area. Wendy, Leslie, Shahab, Anne, Brenda, Jill, Daisy, Gisela, Komal, Lisa, Sarah, Julia, and Eileen. And volunteer recognition for all of those people who worked on our Vision 2020 conference. Itopa, Robin, Tony, Mela, Komal, Rajan, Eugene, Carmelo, Bashir, Rosemary, Alicia, Kim, and Arlene. And to our PRISM judges, Kanchan, Ralph, Anne, and Mary Ellen. And our PRISM advisory team, Janet, Dominic, and David. Thank you all so much. So appreciate everything that you've done. We could not exist as a chapter without your partnership, without your collaboration, and without your contribution. So this year has been a success because of you and through the leadership of our board. I want to thank you so much. I enjoy working with everybody, and it just makes such a difference to, you know, this isn't work. This is giving back, and it's making a difference. So thank you everybody so much. We are, whoa, are we at 7 o'clock on the nose?
We are. Yes, Madam President, we are at 7:01 and ready to adjourn. May we have a motion to adjourn and a seconder, please?
So I move this meeting to be adjourned.
Anna Hurtubise.
And you're just popping up all over the place.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank
We're
you.
adjourned. Thank you.
And I will pass this baton over to Shahab, who's going to be connecting with you and introducing Jen Lofgren.
Oh my